Okay, so module 1, getting started with Scala programming. Now let us understand what are the different topics we learn from this module. We will understand what exactly Scala is all about. We will understand Scala RIPL, which stands for read, evaluate, print, and loop. We will understand different variable types and different features of Scala like type inference and statically typed, block expressions, hiding a val with another, lazy values. Everything in Scala is an object. We will see what do we mean by everything in Scala is an object. And we will understand different conditional and looping statements, match expressions with pattern guards and ordered expressions. And finally, we will end up with methods and procedures. So these are the list of topics we will understand as part of this particular module. Now, first thing we should understand, why should we learn Scala when we have other programming languages like Java and all? Now, you have to understand two of the most popular big data frameworks, what is available today is Apache Spark and Kafka has been written in Scala. Just think about this, guys. When people have used Scala to build up these frameworks, that means entire Apache Spark is built using Scala and the entire Apache Kafka is developed using Scala. So when they have used Scala as the preferred choice of coding, that means Scala provides you certain advantages. So the first thing, we should learn Scala because most of the big data framework has been developed using Scala, like Apache Spark and Kafka. So there is some advantages if you use Scala as a choice of programming. We will see that. Now, the reasons of choosing Scala. There are some reasons for you to choose Scala as a choice of programming when compared to other programming languages like Java, especially for Apache Spark. So people, as I told you that, people use for writing Spark applications, the preferred choice either would be Spark and the next preferred choice would be Python. In general, Python is very widely used in machine learning, but however, people are also getting adopted to the even for the writing big data applications, especially Spark. So the first thing you have to understand, the first reason is of using Scala, it is multi-paradigm language. This is very important. What do we mean by multi-paradigm language? Means it supports both the features of functional programming and object-oriented programming. I hope everybody is aware of object-oriented programming, but please understand the new terminology here called functional programming. So Scala is a multi-paradigm programming language which supports both the features of functional programming as well as object-oriented programming. We will see in detail what is functional programming in the upcoming modules, but for now you understand Scala supports multi-paradigm programming language. It is a multi-paradigm programming language. It means it supports both the features of functional programming as well as object-oriented programming. So that is the first reason of choosing Scala. However, the entire industry is moving from the object-oriented style of programming to the functional style of programming. So you have to make a note. So a functional style of programming provides you more uh, declarative style of coding. We will see that in detail in the upcoming modules. The second important reason of choosing Scala is expressiveness of a language. So when compared to programming languages like Java, Scala is more expressive. We will understand what do we mean by expressiveness of a language once we start coding. But do understand when Scala, as I told you, that Scala's code or Scala syntax gives you more expressiveness, so that it'll be it is easy to understand, and and further it'll be easy to maintain as well. So the expressiveness of a language makes a choice of using Scala for especially for building your big data applications or using in your Spark to build your Spark applications. And the third reason, definitely, it is interoperability with Java. That means that whatever code which has been written in Java, you can call Java code from the Scala code. This is very important. Or in other words, what I'm saying is you can embed your Java code inside your Scala code. That means you can write your normal Java. You can make use of your Java libraries inside your Scala code. That is another big feature. In fact, Scala shares most of the uses most of your Java library. So interoperability with Java, it's one of the biggest feature of using Scala. So all the libraries, whatever is available in Java, all those libraries can be reused, can be used, inside your Scala code. That is very important. Interoperability. And the last reason, definitely, it is marketable. So one reason for learning new technology or a framework is always better job and career growth. So definitely learning Scala would help you this, because most of the jobs now, whatever is available in the market today, especially for Apache Spark for big data applications, people tend to use Scala as a choice of programming. So definitely you will be better marketable in the industry, right? Yeah. Any questions here, guys, before I proceed? Okay, kindly go yourself on mute if you don't have any questions. If you have questions, kindly raise your hand. Okay, let's proceed. Now, what is Scala? Very important. Scala is a general purpose programming language. Please understand the definition here. It is a general purpose programming language. What I meant with general purpose programming language means, what I meant with general purpose programming language means the language is not designed for any particular one single need. For example, if you take JavaScript, JavaScript is generally used only for for web applications. It is only used for client based rendering of kind only for web applications. It is not used to build, for example, machine learning. It's not designed for that, right? So it is designed keeping only particular need. For example, HTML is only for for the web applications, for the to design a text box or the drop down things like that. It's only for web applications, right? For example, Scala, as I told you, Scala is a general purpose programming language. This is something very important that you have to understand. That means it is not designed keeping particular need. It is can be used as a general purpose for almost anything. For example, you can use Scala for writing your Spark applications. You can use Scala for building your web applications. You can use Scala for building your concurrency framework. So Scala can be used in almost every sector. That is very important. In every area, it can be used to build web applications. It can be used to, for building your cluster computing framework. It can be used for, actor-based concurrency framework. So it is a general purpose programming language, just like Python. Python is a general purpose programming language, can be used for anything. So Scala is also a general purpose programming language which can be used for anything. Something very important that you have to understand. So Scala is nothing to do with Spark. So just make a note, it is a general purpose programming language. And another point to remember here, Scala is a JVM based language, something very important. That means there are many JVM based language. As we know that what is JVM? JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. So there are various JVM based languages. One such is Scala. So Scala is a JVM based language. So all the performance boost up what your JVM gives. So even when you write your Scala, it gives you, because Scala is also a JVM based language. So till now we have seen, till now we know that Java is only the JVM based language. No, there are various JVM based languages. That is one more example of JVM based languages, Scala. That is something very important that you have to know. Okay, so Scala is a modern multi-paradigm programming language which is designed to express common programming patterns in a concise, elegant, and we'll see this type-safe way. It smoothly integrates the features of object-oriented programming and the functional programming. This is the definition of Scala. Yes, definitely it is. Integrates, it's a multi-paradigm programming language which combines both the features of object-oriented programming and the functional programming in a much concise way. We can write a code in a much concise, elegant way when compared to other programming languages like Java. So that is the whole reason people use Scala. And another biggest trademark of Scala is it is also a JVM based language. So all the performance boost up of Java, for example, we use Java as a JVM based language. So JVM provides a lot of performance boosting. So anything sits on top of JVM, there'll be a lot of performance. So Scala is also a JVM based language. You have to remember this. That is one important thing, that should always compare Python with JVM based language. Python Yes, definitely it is very widely used, but you have to understand that the Python is an interpreted language. Because it is an interpreted language, when it comes to speed, Python lags speed when compared to the compiled languages like Scala. So that is one choice, one important thing to make a decision when you start building a framework. So I personally prefer to use Scala, but however, people are also using Python very widely. Negotiating with the performance, a slight negotiation with the performance, not a huge negotiation, a slight negotiation. However, with the modern processors and hardware what we have, definitely we can scale the hardware, and you can boost the Python also with respective to the compiled languages. So it's just a trade-off again to choose. Okay, so let's proceed. So first, let us understand the first important thing called scalar ripple. So what is scalar ripple? So scalar ripple is a tool for evaluating expressions in Scala. So ripple stands for read, evaluate, print, and loop. So when you install Scala, a tool by name Ripple will be available. So using this Ripple, basically we can execute the programs without any IDE. So something very important. So it provides you an interpreter by name Ripple. So it's a tool where you can type the programs and you can evaluate, print, and loop the programs. Okay, so in my case, I've already installed Scala. So for people who haven't installed the Scala, I'll be sharing a document to install Scala, or you can just go to Google and just type Scala. So the first link, you will get a binaries to download Scala. You can simply follow the instructions and install it. However, I will be sharing the document to install Scala as well. Okay, so first let me launch a Ripple. So I have already opened the command prompt. So if the command prompt is not open, okay, let me open the command prompt. So how do we launch Scala Ripple? So the Scala Ripple will be launched with a command called Scala. So this will launch a Scala Ripple. Please understand this. So this is a Scala Ripple. Even with Java 9 onwards, Java also provides you something called as kind of a ripple like this by name JShell. So very important. So this is a ripple. So using this ripple, I can basically, as I told you, that I can read, evaluate, print, and loop the statements. Let me show you. So let me execute some expressions. 10 plus 10. See, I can type the programs without any IDE. So 10 plus 10, please look at this. It gives me the output 20. But please look at this here. It has stored this 10 plus 10, 20 in a variable by name res0 or result 0, and it is of type int. That means in Scala, the variable declaration, so very important, the variables will be declared something like this. For example, you will declare a variable by name num colon the type of the variable and the value of the variable. This is how the variables will be declared in Scala. Whereas in Java, we know, right? We declare a variable like this. The variable type and the variable name is equal to the variable value. In Scala, the syntax is slightly different. Yes, definitely it is a different language. So you have to be, accustomed to use the syntax. So the variable name and the variable type is equal to the value of the variable. This is how you declare a variable. However, in the Scala Ripple, so 10 plus 2, which evaluated to 20, that has been automatically stored in an auto incremental variable by that is result 0. So next expression when I execute, it will be result 1. Let me show you. So now the 10 plus 10, 20, which is of type int, has been stored in a variable result 0. So I can print this variable result 0. I can print this variable, that is 20. Now, if I type another expression, for example, result 0 into 2, result 0, which is 20, into 2, that becomes 40. The 40 will be stored in another variable by name result 1. So before it was result 0, now it will be result 1. Let me execute this. So let me execute this. 1 second. Okay. So now can you see this? I think this also stored in another variable by name result 1. So that's the reason this has become result2. This also will be stored in like, one kind of a variable result0, but it will be auto incremental value. For example, if I execute this again, can you see this result2 became result3? Again, if I execute, it will be stored in result4. So it will be an auto increment. But however, so you have to understand one important thing, that this is a Scala REPL where I can read, evaluate, print, and loop, right? Any single questions here, guys, before I proceed? Any questions here, guys? Madhu, any questions? Naina, any questions?
Sir, without declaring variable, how you are incrementing those variables?
This is not I am incrementing the variable. This is an auto incremental variable provided by the Scala REPL. This is just a variable name. These variable names, the Scala REPL will automatically increment. Naina.
Okay. Okay.
So this is just the name. To store this value, the Scala REPL stores this value in a variable name res0.
Okay.
And the next expression you evaluate, that will be stored in the next variable, result1.
Okay.
Clear, Naina?
Okay.
Okay, this is just a feature provided by the Scala. Okay, right. Yeah, any questions here, Satosh? Any questions here? Santosh, you there?
No.
Okay, right. Okay, let's proceed now. So we have seen the first important feature of Scala. Scala provides you something called as Scala REPL, which stands for read, evaluate, print, and loop, wherein you can type the expressions on the Scala REPL without using any of the IDEs. So once you type the expressions, the value will be stored in a variables, auto-generated names. These are all the auto-generated names by the the Scala REPL. Okay, let's understand another important feature of Scala called variable types. So there are two keywords in Scala to declare a variable, are very important. So you can declare a variable using val. You can declare a variable using var. Very important. So when you declare a variable using val, please understand, you can declare a variable, as I told you, using two keywords. One is by using val and another one using by var. So when you declare a variable using val, what happens? The variable becomes immutable. That means it cannot be modified. Look at this. For example, let me declare a variable. As I told you, you can declare a variable either with val or with var. So let me declare a variable with val here. So I'll just name the variable as num is equal to, I'll just give it as, let's say 100. Now what I do, I will try to modify this value to 10. Now please look at this. So it doesn't allow me to modify. So because I've declared a variable with val. So when I declare a variable with val, what happens? It becomes immutable. Just like, in Java, we have final variables, right? Constants. So it becomes immutable. They cannot be modified. However, if you declare a variable with var, it is mutable. That means they can be modified. So that means when I declare a variable var num1 is equal to 100, and now num1 is equal to 10. Please look at this. Sorry, num1 is equal to 10. Now please understand this. This is mutable variable. That means it can be modified. Now one important observation here. Please look at this. Num1 is equal to, I will just type to string now. Please observe this. Can you see this error type mismatch? Now, what do you call this feature, guys? Now, please look at this. It is mute. As I told you, when you declare a variable with var, please understand it is mutable. That means it can be modified. But here, please do understand, it allowed me to modify. When I declared a variable num1 whose value was 100, and then I modified it to 10. But when I tried to modify num1 with ABC, did not allow me. What do you call this feature? Guys, let's pick up somebody. Vignesh.
Type safety.
Exactly. Very good, Vignesh. After a long time, we are interacting. Okay. Right, Vignesh. So it's called type safety, but one other point, it is called statically typed, Vignesh. So Python is dynamic programming, whereas Scala is statically typed programming. That means once you declare the type, it cannot be modified. The type cannot be modified. Is it clear, guys? Any questions here? Okay. So there's no questions. Let's get into the next one. So that is what I meant with the statically typed. This is something very important. So Scala is a statically typed language. It is not dynamically typed language. So in dynamically typed language, what happens is you can also modify the type at runtime, just like the languages like Python allows you to modify the type also, whereas Scala is a statically typed language. So once you assign a type to a variable, it remains the same type in the entire scope. It cannot be modified. Only the value can be modified, not the type. Okay. Another important feature of Scala is type inference, a very important feature and something you have to look at it. Now, for example, let me declare a variable, for example, num2 is equal to 100. Now, Vignesh, can you tell me what is this 100 is of type?
Integer.
Integer. Did we declare int anywhere, Vignesh?
No.
No,
It infers the type by default.
Exactly. It will infer the type. That is what we call it as type inference. Can you see this? The value 100, it inferred the type by looking at this value. So that is what is type inference. Can you see this? It has automatically assigned int here by reading this variable 100. Okay. So that is what we call it as type inference. So that is an important feature in Scala, type inference. Please understand this. In interview, they will ask you all this questions, especially if you're from beginners, like you're trying to apply 1 or 2 years of experience. These are some of the questions which definitely they will ask you. Why did you choose Scala when other languages are available, like for example Python or for example Java, right? Any questions here? Madhu, any questions here? Santosh? Okay. Okay, and then let's proceed then. Let us look into the next important feature called block expressions. So very important. In Scala, as we know, that block is something which is surrounded with these braces, right? The flower braces. Anything which is surrounded with braces, in general, we call it as a block. The block expressions in Scala, there is slightly different when compared to the Java's block expressions. So generally, a block means anything which is surrounded with braces is what we call it as a block. So the block expressions returns a value, something very important. For example, so let me, as I told you that block expressions will be created something like this. This is a block expression. So the Scala's block expressions returns you a value. So for example, let me evaluate some expressions here. Let me evaluate. Before that, you have to understand some of the important features of Scala REPL also. So in Scala REPL, if you want to type multiple lines of a code in the Scala REPL, you have to type colon paste. This is very important. So in the colon paste, when you do, it will take you to thing where you can type multiple lines of a code. If you are in Scala REPL, only in the normal default Scala REPL will not allow you to type multiple lines of a code. So if you want to type multiple lines of a code, and if you want to evaluate all those multiple lines of a code at one go, then you have to type colon paste, something very important. So now, as I told you that the block expression is anything which is surrounded with the flower braces, and each block expression returns you a value. That is something very important. For example, let me create a variable by name result, and this is a block expression. And here I will type some expressions. For example, while x is equal to 100, I'm just typing some expressions, and then what I'll do. For example, I will try to write x, and I will try to write x into y, and I will close the block expressions. And if you want to come out of this paste mode, you have to do Control D. So Control D will tell you that you are coming out of the paste mode. Control D. So this will be evaluated. Something went wrong. Oh, sorry. Why I have not declared? I'm sorry. Okay, let me declare the Y again. But however, now if you want to clear the screen, you can also press Control L, normal Linux thing, Control L. Okay, let me go to the paste mode again. Let me declare a variable result is equal to block expression. This is a block expressions. So let me declare a variable X is equal to 10, val X is equal to 10, val into Y is equal to 10, and X into Y, some expressions, X into 2, and close the braces and come out of Control D. Now please look at this. Look at this. As I told you, that block expression returns you a value, something very important to be noted. Now, what is the return type, or what is the value it returned? It returned to be 20. How did it return 20? Now, what is the return type? What is the return type of this particular expression? Please do understand. What is the return type of this particular expression is the last statement which got executed. In this, what is the last statement which got executed? Yes, this is the first statement. This is a second statement. This is a third statement. And this is the fourth statement. So the return value will be the last statement. In this case, the return value will be X into 2. That is 10 into 2. That is 20. So the block expression will return you a value. The value is the last statement what you write inside the block expression. Something very important to be noted, right? Any questions here, guys? Any questions here, Nayana? Any questions, anybody? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. So please understand all this feature. However, all these features, we may not use it in Spark, but still, it's not just writing the Spark applications, right? You will write a lot of custom code to communicate to other parts of your ecosystems. So, but for Spark, all this may not be necessary, but still you have to understand the Scala feature, especially this feature of block expressions. Okay. Okay. Let's proceed now. Lazy values, something very important that you have to understand this particular concept. Now, let me ask some questions. For example, let me ask some questions to, for example, Vishnu. Now let's assume you have written some piece of a code to connect to the database.
Okay.
And you try to execute your program. So will the program connect to the database or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Definitely, you've written a program to connect to the database, and when you execute the program will connect to the database, right?
Yeah.
Now, right, Vishnu, think about the scenario. Let me rephrase it. You have written a code to connect to the database, but you're not inserting any records into the database. But still it will connect, yes or no?
It's a connect, but no records.
Because we have not written any code. We have not written any code to insert, but we have written a code to connect to the database, no code to insert anything.
Yes,
but
yes.
Don't you think it will still connect?
Yes, it will connect, but no records.
No, definitely we have not written any code, so it will not insert. Now,
Yes.
please understand, let's do the same thing in Scala. Let's assume I will try to read a file. Okay, please make a note of this, guys. Let me write a program to read a file. Let's see what happens. Very important. So let's see this behavior. Let me clear off the screen. Colon paste. I'll go to the multi-line mode using this colon paste. So let me read a file. So import scala.io.source. So this is a package which you have to import. Scala.io is a package and source is an object. Okay, scala.io.source. And one more important thing, guys, you have to remember that in Scala, fundamentally, class is different, object is different. Do not get confused with Java. In Java, an object means it is an instance of a class. Whereas in Scala, a class is different, an object is different. That means you can write a class by name person and you can write an object by name person. Fundamentally, both are different. Just do remember this. A class is different, an object is different. We will see this in detail, what is object, in the upcoming modules. However, so I'm importing an object scala.io.source. Source is an object. So I'm importing that, and then let me create a variable by name str, and I will try to read a file. So how do I read a file? You have to remember this code: source dot from file, given the path of the file. So I'll just give the path of the file as, for example, ab123.txt. Now please look at this, guys. No doubt that I don't have any file by name ab123.txt in my D drive, guys. Okay, I don't have any file by name ab123.txt in my D drive. Okay, and I'm trying to read by invoking a string called mk string. And then what am I doing? I will try to, for example, print the string. Now, right now, Netaji, what do you think it'll happen, Netaji? Netaji, what do you think it'll happen when I execute this piece of a code? Netaji, what do you think it'll happen? Please.
Yeah, just I'm thinking,
Okay.
but I think it will execute.
It will execute. Okay, let me try this. Let me come out of that. Control D. Now, please look at this, guys. Very important. Can you see this? It has thrown a file not found exception. Please look at this, guys. I have written a code to read a file and the file is not there. Yes or no? Guys, please understand this. Let me reiterate this again. So first, let me import scala.io source. Please understand this is very important. Scala.io source, and let me store in a variable. So let me read a file. To read a file, source dot from file, and in the D drive I don't have any file by name abc123.txt. I am trying to read a file mk string. Now Santosh, can you tell me here? I'm trying to read a file and I'm trying to store the file. I'm trying to read the file, and the content of a file I'm storing in this variable str, right, Santosh?
Yeah.
Now, when I execute this piece of a code, please look at this, that you get an exception. Very important. Please look at this. What happened? Let me execute it again. Yeah. Can you see this here? It got file not found exception. So two important things you have to understand, that internally the Scala is making use of your Java code. Please understand this. So most of the libraries, what your Scala uses is your Java libraries. So this tells you that the Scala is internally using your Java library. That is why it's giving java.io.file not found exception. That means when you want to work with Scala, Java is something very important. It has to be installed because Scala is built on top of your JVM. So JVM will be packaged as part of the JDK. So you have to have your JDK installed, and then you have to install your Scala. So one important observation that it is internally using your Java code. And second important observation, Priya, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Now, Priya, can you tell me here, I'm writing source.from file and I'm reading a file and I'm storing the content in this file str. So don't you think it is actually trying to read? Don't you think it is trying to read a file? That is why it said file not found exception, Priya?
Yes, sir.
Now, please understand this, guys, very important. Yes, definitely it is trying to read this file. File is not found. So you got this exception called file not found exception. But Priya, did you think of the scenario that you have an str? Am I using this variable anywhere in the program?
No, sir.
But why it should read then? Please understand this. I have this variable str. I'm not using this variable anywhere in my program. Then what is the point of reading? Don't you think? Yes or no? You have in Spark application, you are trying to create an object of type Spark session. You're not using Spark session anywhere. Then why it should actually create an instance of Spark session? Now, please understand this, guys. This str variable I'm not using anywhere in the program, but still the program is trying to read a file. So now with the concept of lazy expressions, we will try to avoid this. So very important. So with the concept of lazy values, we try to delay the initialization of some variables until the point where it is used in your application. That means until and then I don't use this variable anywhere, it will not try to read a file. If I try to use this variable anywhere in the code, then only it will try to read a file. For example, look at this. Slightly, I will modify this piece of a code and I will add here lazy. Right, Priya? Now, when I add this lazy, what happens, Priya, here? This expression will not evaluate. When it will evaluate, Priya? Let's kindly keep it interactive. Yeah.
In
Yeah, Priya?
Spark point of view, when we use the
Not Spark. Don't go to Spark. First, you talk about Scala, Priya. Now, I've made this variable as lazy. So now I've written source.from file. Do you think it will actually read the file?
Yes, sir.
It will not read the file. Why it will not read the file? Because I made this as lazy. When it will read the file, only when I use this variable anywhere in the program.
Okay, sir.
Then only it will read. For example, see now if I execute this piece of a code, no error. There will be no error. See, there is no error. It has not evaluated only. When it will evaluate, when I use this str in my program. So for example, if I use this str in my program, then it will give you this file not found exception. Look at this, I'll execute. Now it gives you file not found exception. So you're trying to delay the initialization of the variables until the point you're using that variable. So once you use that, then only it will actually evaluate this expression. This is another very important feature of Scala called lazy values. So you can delay the initialization of the variables by you adding this lazy. So whenever we initialize Spark session in general, we make it as lazy until at the point till it is required, it will try to use. If not, it will not try to use, right? Any questions there? So this is very important feature. Is it clear, Priyana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions from anybody? Naina, any questions yet?
No, sir.
Madhu, any questions? Vignesh, any questions yet?
All clear.
Okay, right. Let's proceed. So you have to understand this is another important feature of Scala. So we have learned some features, right? Let me list it down for you. So the first important feature is type inference, a very important feature. What is type inference, guys? Anybody? Santosh, what is type inference? Santosh, what is type inference, Santosh?
So it will just infer the type of the
It will infer the type based on the value you have given.
values. Yeah.
And what is the next feature we learned, Santosh? What is the important features of Scala?
Lazy value.
That I thought you know. Let's go in
Yeah.
order. Block
Okay.
expressions.
Block expressions. Yeah.
Please don't forget. Block expressions. What is the specialty of block expressions in Scala, Santosh?
The return value, the return type of that value will be the is same as the last expression.
Okay,
The type of
slightly
the last
change it.
expression.
Right, slightly change it. The block expressions in Scala will have a return value.
Yeah.
What will be the return value? The last statement, whatever you have written inside the block expression, that will be the return value. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are the different ways we can declare a variable? Using val and
Val and var. Yeah.
right? And then we also saw the feature of statically typed. What do you mean by statically typed, Santosh? What do we mean by statically typed?
So you cannot change the type of it.
Exactly. So once you have declared a variable of a type, for example, if you have declared a variable of type int, it will always remains int. It cannot be modified to some other type like string.
Yeah.
And then we also learned about lazy values. What do we mean by lazy values?
You can
we can actually delay the initialization of the variables by adding lazy.
Yeah.
So when it will actually evaluate until you use it, it will not evaluate. Clear? And how do you prove that Scala uses the Java library? So one such example I showed you here, when I made use of Scala code, it internally using your Java library, right, Santosh?
Yes.
Okay, right. So can I get a confirmation from everybody? Is things clear, guys? Can you speak out? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, that's very good. Okay. So let's get in now. So I think we have seen scalar ripple, we have seen basic operations, mutable, immutable, type inference in Scala, block expressions, lazy evaluations, and we'll see the next topics. Okay. So now this is very important. Everything in Scala is an object, a very important that you have to understand this. Many people are not aware of this. Everything in Scala is an object. Now let's do this now. 2, well, let me ask you a very basic question. 2 plus 2. What would be the output, Vishnu?
4, sir.
4 definitely. Now here, what is plus here, Vishnu?
Operands.
It is an operator, right?
Yeah, operator, sorry.
Right? Yeah. Right. No problem. So please do understand 2 plus 2 is an operator. Now please look at this. This is very important that you have to understand. This plus in Scala is not an operator. First, do understand everything in Scala is an object. That means when you write this 2 is of type int. It is not a keyword. It is an object. Do remember this. Int is an object. So this plus is not an object. Please do remember, understand this, guys, very carefully. This is a very important interview question. This plus is not an operator. So 2 plus 2 is not an plus is not an operator. Plus is a method. Please understand this. Priya, for example, in a string, for example, you have a string by name ABC, right, Priya? Now, this string has several methods. Priya, you're there? Okay, I think I lost Priya. Okay, let's pick up. Let's pick. Priya, you're there?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now tell me, Priya, you have to be, you try to be
Yes,
attentive,
yes.
no? So this ABC is a string. So don't you think in this ABC you have several methods? For example, 2 lowercase. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you see this? It has several methods. For example, you can print to the uppercase, or you can print to different case. For example, now let me convert this to uppercase. Now, what is this to uppercase? It is a method
Yes, sir.
present in string class.
Yes, sir.
Now, please understand this. 2 plus 2, 2. This ABC is of type string. 2 is
Yes,
of
sir.
type
Yes,
int. Please understand this, guys. 2. So you can invoke plus. Plus is a method, guys. It is not an operator. 2. How do you call a method with the dot operator, right? 2 dot plus and arguments. This is very important. So plus is a method. See, I'm proving plus. 2 dot method name is plus and the arguments to that method, that is 2. So this will give me 4. This will give me 4. So please do understand. So plus is not an operator. Plus is a method. So that means you can invoke, please do understand, guys, you can invoke a method without dot operator also in Scala. Something very important that you have to understand. You can invoke a method without using dot operator. For example, you have this ABC dot to uppercase. I invoked this method with dot to uppercase. Now please look at this. I can invoke ABC like space to uppercase also. This is very important syntax. So see, it gives you the same output, ABC. So you need not invoke a method without a dot. You can invoke a method without dot operator also. So by the variable name, space, and the method name. Clear, guys? Any questions here? Any single questions here? Okay. So the takeaway is everything in Scala is an object. For example, please look at this. Now, it's a very common syntax what we see in Scala. Like for example, you say val result is equal to 1 to 100. Now, what is this 2 method here, Santosh? What is this 2 here?
It's a method.
It's a method. So you can call a method without dot also, right?
Yeah.
So I can do this 1 to 100, or I can also call this like something like this. 1, 2, and this is argument. I can also do this as well. So syntactically, this and this both are same, but which is more readable, guys? Do you think this is more readable or this is more readable?
First one is more readable.
That is why it says, Scala is more readable. It provides a much concise way of writing a code. So 1, 200, it is more readable. Okay. So this is how you can invoke methods in Scala, right? Any questions here? Okay. Okay, now let's proceed to conditional statements. Guys, this is all something very fundamental that you have to learn. So do remember, in Scala, if statements are also expressions. So when I say expressions, it returns you a value. So it's something very important. So the conditional statements are also expressions. That means the conditional statements also returns a value. That is very important. For example, what I meant with that is, for example, let me create a variable by name score. For example, let's assume you have a variable by name total marks is equal to, let's say, 100. What I do, if total marks, if it is let's say greater than or equal to 90, that means let's assume I want grade as, or I want the A grade. Let me store in a variable grade. Please look at this. This is all very nice feature which is not provided by Java. So here what happened, this, as I told you, the conditional statements is also a block expressions. That means this is a block. So this is a block expression, right? Anything which is surrounded with curly braces is called as a block expressions. So this is a block expressions. So if the condition, and this is a block expressions. So in Scala, the block expressions returns you a value. So the value returned would be A for this variable. For example, you can declare else if, and if the total marks, let's say if it is if it is greater than let's say 70, if it is greater than 70, so let's say I want let's say grade A, or let's say this is grade S and this is grade A. So like that I can write else. For example, I can just go with else by default, let's say grade C. So I'll not write more logic. So the takeaway is you have to remember, if statements are also block expressions, meaning that it will return a value. This is very important. So this is a block expression and this is a block expression, and this also returns you a value. So the value of this grade would be S. Let me execute this. Something happened. Let me just copy it again. Colon paste, go to the paste mode, Control D. Now please look at this. I've given total marks as 100. So the grade returned is S. That is whatever I've written, S grade, right? So this conditional statements also returns you a value. So this feature is not available in programming languages like Java. So you have to remember this. So if the same thing, if I want to write it in Java, what you would have done, little more code. For example, what you would have done, you would have created a variable by name total marks is equal to 100. And then you would have created something like this character grade. And then you would have written this logic. Please look at this, the Java style and the Scala style. And then you would have assigned this grade is equal to, grade is equal to S, grade is equal to A, grade is equal to C. You would have done it something like this in your Java. But look at the Scala. So less code. So you need not assign grade is equal to S, grade is equal to A, grade is equal to C. You need not assign. You can simply type the grade S, A, C. The expression will return your value. So automatically the expression total marks is greater than or equal to 90. This if condition evaluated. So S got returned to this variable, that is grade. So it provides you a much concise way of writing a code when compared to this Java style of writing a code. That is why people tend to use Scala There will be no performance boost up when compared to Scala and Java. The reason is both are JVM based language. So something you have to make a note, right? Any questions here, guys? Any questions here, Naina? Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. So please note, yeah, Naina, you were telling something?
No.
Okay.
I'm just
So this is a conditional statements, very important. Let's get into the next one called looping statements. So again, it's all fundamental, something which is very important that you have to know. So as I told you in Scala, if else as a value of the expressions. So normal, we saw that, if else as a value. Now let's look into the looping statements. So something very important. So here, if you look into this piece of code, I have declared an array with values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you want to iterate an array, there are several ways. You can iterate an array using the syntax is what I've shown you here. You can iterate an array. This is a kind of an enhanced for loop. You can iterate an array using to. You can iterate an array using until. This is very important. So they will ask you the difference between iterating an array using to and iterating an array using until. Now let me declare an array and then let me use a for loop and then I'll explain you these other variants of for loops. These are different variants of for loop, guys. You have to remember. So what I do here in the code, let me clear off the screen here. So let me create some numbers and let me create an array. So the easiest way to create an array using this array. So internally there is something called as it will try to call apply method. We'll see that later on. So let me create an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have declared an array. So I have declared an array. Sorry, I declared it as 20 here. So I've declared it as 20. So no problem. So I have an array. So how do I iterate an array? Very clear. For, please understand the syntax, num. You have to remember this operator. For num in numbers. You have to remember the syntax. For num in numbers. So each and every variable, each and every value of these numbers will be available to this variable num. So you have to remember that. So then I'm just printing print ln of num. Please look at this. It will try to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the easiest way and this is the widely used way to simply iterate an array. Just like in Java, we have enhanced for loop, right? We don't use normal for loop to print an array. So we use enhanced for loop to print an array. So this is a kind of an enhanced for loop version of Java. So this is in Scala, this is enhanced for loop. So you can also iterate an array using to. So if you see here, you can also iterate an array using to and until. The fundamental difference between to and until is when you use to, you have to write, the size of an array -1. This is something very important. So this they will ask you in interview. So for I, starting from 0 to the length -1, you have to do this. Whereas if you use until, starting from 0 until you just give the length, it will automatically do all other -1. So stops one number before the final number. So when you use until, the days dot length would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 minus 1 would be 5. Starting from 0 till 5 would be 6 numbers. So when you use until here, what happens? You need not give the -1. The loop will stop, or the condition will be evaluated one number less than the size of an array. So that is a fundamental difference between to and until, right? Any questions here, guys? Any questions here? Okay. The looping statements is something very important that you have to learn. Now look at this. Another important feature of Scala called for loop with yield keyword. Very important, guys. This is all something very fundamental. Just understand this fundamental, guys. Very important. Okay. So we can use a for loop with yield keyword to create a new data structure from an existing data structure. Please look at this. For example, let's consider we have some list of names. Val names. Let's consider we have some names. For example, we have Ram, Tom, do we have Tim, we have Jim. We have some names here. For example, we have, Madhu. We have some examples like Santosh, Ramya. We have some names like this. Now please look at this. Now what happens here? For loop with yield keyword. So for every iteration, if I want to return a value, I can use for loop with yield keyword. I'll just reiterate this again. For every iteration, if you want to return a value, I can use for loop with yield keyword. That means, let's assume I want to iterate each array and I want to store in a list the length of each string. For example, here I want a final array where that array contains the size of each individual element, the length of each individual element. That means I want a final array where it should be 3 because RAM is 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, and 5. So for every iteration, for example, I want to return a value. That means I can use a for loop with yield keyword. So look at this, a very simple syntax. So for also returns your, for is also an expression, so it also returns your value. So let me create a variable by name. I'll just name it as according to the PPT length list. So what I do here, so I will iterate for name in names. Please look at the syntax. Now I'm adding yield. Yield. That means for every iteration, yield will return you a value. So what is the value here? So please look at this. The value here would be name dot length. Name dot length. Please look at this. So what happens? The first iteration name would be RAM. So name dot length would be 3. So the 3 would be stored in this array. So length list, and this is an array now. I'll show you. And next iteration, the name would be Tom. So the length would be 3. Tim, it would be 3. Jim would be 3. Madhu would be 5. Ramya would be 5 automatically. So the for loop with yield, what does it do? For every iteration, if you want a return value, for loop with yield will return you a value for every iteration. All these things are fundamentally we use, very important. This is all something very fundamental that you have to know. So let me execute the program now. Now please look at this. What happened? 1 second. Yeah. Now please look at this. It returned me an array. Now length list has become an array. Now in this array, you have this length of each element of an array. So if I want to do the same thing in Java, you would have written more lines of a code, but in Scala, you achieved with just 2 lines of a code. And however, you have to also remember in Scala, semicolon is not mandatory. That is one of the painful thing in Java. We Java developers know that you will tend to forget semicolons every time, but in Scala, semicolons are not mandatory. However, you can also give, but it's not mandatory. So for loop with yield returned you a value for every iteration. Very important. Any questions here? Any single questions from anybody? Priya, any questions here? Yes, Santosh, go ahead.
So Navin, this is a small thing. So we can also declare a variable in the runtime itself, because
No, this is not dynamic programming.
Like for name tends to names. So the name, what we are not declaring anywhere the name, right? So we are just actually defining the name.
Yes, that is allowed. That is allowed.
Okay.
Okay. By default, it will be var. Here, the syntax.
Okay. So it will take by default take the type, or
yes, it will not the type, the keyword.
Okay. No, it stores the the length of those names, right? So it will be
that will be there in this variable, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The size
Fine.
of each variable will be in this variable. And if you observe, Santosh, here, the type of this variable is
array. Yeah.
Array. Why it is array? Because it is iterating what? It is iterating what? Array.
Yeah.
This is an important question. For example, if I iterate it list, no? If I iterate lister, and if I write the same logic here, no, Santosh? Santosh, you there?
Yes, none.
So if I iterate, now I'm iterating array or I'm iterating a list.
List.
Now, please look at this. The length list now will be list.
Okay.
So that is something very important that you have to note. So this variable type will be whatever you're trying to iterate.
Right. Right.
Clear?
Right.
This they will ask you in interview. That's something very important. So yield keyword is used to return your value for every iteration. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Right. Any other questions from anybody? Naina, any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. Priya, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let's proceed now. So we have seen for loop with yield. Guys, however, the session is getting recorded. So I'll be sharing you the recordings as well. So just watch the recordings. Okay. Now let's look into some more important features of different variants of for loop. These features are not available in Java. For loop with if conditions, generally call it as pattern guards, a very important concept. For example, look at this, is a very important concept. We use this. For example, let's consider we have some list of numbers from 1 to 100. Let's assume we have some list of numbers which are from 1 to 100. Now what I want is, I want to print the numbers which are generally divisible by 3 and 5. Can you tell me the numbers which are divisible by 3 and 5, Vishnu here? Vishnu, can you tell me what are the numbers which are divisible by 3 and 5?
and 5, sir.
3 and 5. The numbers which are divisible both by 3 and 5.
Yeah, 15, 30.
Correct. Right. So how do we write the logic? So we will write for numbers in numbers. This is a normal way to write. Then I will write a condition if number, if it is modulo divide by 3, if it is equal to 0 is, and if the number is or no, if the number, if modulo divide by 5, if it is equal to 0, then these numbers are, I'm printing those numbers. So print the number. Yes or no? Now please see, it printed all the numbers which are divisible by both 3 and 5. Normal way. But the same thing I can achieve with pattern guards. Something very important. Please look at the syntax now. Slightly, you have to by heart with the syntax. For, same thing, for number in numbers. Now look at this. Inside a for loop, I can write if statements. Something very important. This is what we call it as pattern guards. So inside for loop, you can write if statements. This is not available in Java. For number in numbers, that means proceed inside if only when the condition satisfies. So for number in numbers, so what you can do, if you can write the logic, number modulo divide by 3 if it is equal to 0, and number modulo divide by 5 if it is equal to 0. Look at this. This is what we call it as a pattern guards. Println number. Look at the conciseness. Now see output. So something happened. Once again, what happened? It printed everything. Sorry, not numbers. I'm sorry. It is, sorry. Well, let me change the code. One second. Here, I've given numbers here. This is not numbers. This is number. Okay, let me clear up the screen. I'll write a for loop again. For loop. Okay, let me write the for loop again. For number in numbers. Okay, so just by the syntax. If, please look at this, number modulo divide by 3 if it is equal to 0, and number modulo divide by 5 if it is equal to 0, then only proceed inside the for loop. And then here I'm printing the number. Now please look at this. It printed me all the numbers which are divisible by both 3 and 5, but with much concise way, much elegant when compared to the previous one. I think I deleted. I think you're clear, right? So I can use for with pattern guards also. That means it will not proceed inside the for loop until and then if the condition is not satisfied. If the condition is satisfied, then only it will proceed inside the for loop. So this is what we call it as for loop with if conditions or for loop with pattern guards, right? Any questions here, guys? Any questions here? Madhu, Santosh, any questions here?
No.
Okay, right. So I think we have seen for loop with if conditions. Now let's look at the another important feature called match expressions. Very important. So just like in Scala, we have, just like in Java, we have switch case, right? Here we have something called as match expressions. Now please look at this. This is something very important. So let's assume you have a variable by name month and whose value, let's assume it is Feb. So this is a match expressions. If the month value, if it matches the case one, for example, let me show you. Let me write the code. Let's assume you have a month, let's say month is equal to 1. So now what I want to do, I will write a, just like Java, we have a case statements. If case 1, I have to return Jan. Case 2, I have written February. So month 1, that belongs to January. Month 2 belongs to February. So I want to write the kind of a case statement. So even the case statements, the match expressions in Scala returns you a value. Please do understand, it is match expressions. So it is not, this can be compared with Scala's case. So here in Scala, it can be compared with case in Java. In Scala, we don't have switch case. Okay. Here it is match expressions. So the switch can be compared with match in Scala. Okay. So this is something very important. So what I do now, and match expressions also returns you a value. So let me declare a variable month name, and please look at this now. If the month it's match, if the month match any of the case. So let me write the case. If it matches case 1 is month whose value is 1. If it is 1, then I want to return Jan. Please look at this. Very important. Jan. And then what is the next statement we write in general in Java after case? Priya? Sorry, Pavitra? After case, what do we write? Pavitra, you're there? Guys, if you do not interact, you'll be removed from the classrooms, guys. Last warning, Pavitra. If you do not interact, you'll be removed. Okay, Vishnu.
Yes, sir.
What do you think after case in Java? What do we write? Break.
Yeah, breaks.
If you don't write break, what happens?
Continues.
It will fall through the next case. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Please understand. In Java, if you write, for example, in Java, this is very important. Let's assume you have a variable by name month whose value is 1, and you write a normal switch case, right? Switch of month, and yes, you write case 1, yes or no, and you write case 2, yes or no. Now Vishnu, tell me, for example, if you write like this, what happens in Java? For example, in case 1, you write system.out.println Jan, and your system.out.println Feb. What do you think the output would be here, Vishnu?
Maybe both will be.
Yes, definitely both would be printed. Why? Because I did not write break statement here. Correct?
Yes, sir.
If I do not write break statement, it will fall through the next case. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
But in Scala, it will never fall through the next case. So case 1, no break statement here. You can write case 2, this returns February. And please do remember it, February. Okay. If no case matches, let's assume in Java, if any of the case doesn't match, what do we give?
Default.
Default. Right? But here, please look at this. I'm not giving any default case. Let's see what happens first. Let me execute this piece of a code. Now it returned me January. No doubt it returned me January. Yes or no? Why? Because the month is 1 and it evaluated to 1. it returned me January. It did not fall through the next case. However, now what I'll do, the month is equal to, I'll just give 10 and I will execute the same code. I will execute the same code. Oh, sorry. I will execute the same code. Let me copy paste the code. Once again. Oh shit, it came out of the REPL. Let me launch the REPL again. Okay, let me write it again. Val month is equal to, let's say this time I'll give 10 and let it evaluate. Once again, it is taking some time. Let it finish. One second, guys. I think it's taking. Okay, I think it evaluated. Now let me write return value month name is equal to month match and case 1 Jan and case 2 Feb. Same piece of a code, and I'll close. Now please look at this. You will get an exception. Please look at this. Let it finish. Can you see this? You got Scala.match error because you do not have any of the cases which match this 10. So how do we do this in Scala? How do you handle default is something very important. So how do you handle default is very important. Let me copy this so that I need not type it again. So how do we this? How do we do this? Handling of default in Scala is something like this. Case underscore. This is like default in Java underscore. So here I'll give not handled something. So please do remember this. So underscore is nothing but default. So, and the difference between Scala's match expression and Java, sorry, Scala's match expressions and Java's switch cases, Java's switch case will fall through the next case if you don't write break. Whereas in Scala's, the case statements will never fall through the next case. So there is no break statement here. Very important, right? Any questions here? Any single question here? Okay, now look at this. Look at the features of Scala actually. Now, for example, think about a scenario. If user enters either 1, 2, 3, I want the return value to be first quarter. 4, 5, 6, third quarter, second quarter. Similarly like that. If I want that, you can also apply, do remember, you can also use OR expression inside match expressions. This is very important. You can use OR expressions inside a match expression also. That means I can write 1 or 2 or 3. That means if the month either 1, 2, 3, I want to return it as first quarter. I can do this. Look at this feature. This is not available in Java. If it is 4, 5, 6, I want this to be my second quarter. Like this I can do as well. So this is what we call it as match expressions with OR. So let me execute this piece of a code. Sorry, let me go to the paste mode and then let me paste this piece of a code. Control D. Now look at this. Anyhow, I think it has gone to not handled, but anyhow, let me declare month is equal to 2, month is equal to 3. Now I will paste that. Control D. Now can you see this? It returned to me first quarter. So you can very well apply OR expressions even inside a match expressions. Very, very important. All these examples will be shared, guys. Don't worry. Everything is there in the PPT. Okay. So first understand the concept, right? Any questions here, guys? Okay. Let me just Summarize everything from the beginning. Ria. Naina, can you just tell me what all things we learned, Naina?
Yes, sir.
We started with
REPL.
RIPL, which
RIPL.
stands for
Reads, evaluate, print.
print and loop. So how do you launch Scala RIPL?
Scala.
With a command
type
called Scala.
Scala. Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me, can you tell me some of the features of Scala, Priya? Can you tell me some of the features of Scala? Type, inference, right? Other features Scala, Priya? Priya, you're there? Okay, Naina?
The static type.
Statically typed. Then
Yeah.
block
Block
expressions, block expressions.
Question, sorry.
Then
Lazy.
lazy values. Then
Looping statements.
conditional statements.
Yeah, conditional statement.
Conditional statements about pattern guards.
Yeah.
Sorry, looping statements with pattern guards.
Pattern
And what is the specialty of conditional statements? Returns a value.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Returns a value. That's why it's called as conditional expressions. However, looping statements also returns a value. So what is the difference between, what are the different ways you can iterate collection?
Okay.
So you can use for, in, you can use for, to, until.
Yeah.
Yes or no? What is the difference between to and until?
Minus, if you use 2, you have to
Give the
using
length
end
minus
like
one.
-1.
Right. And then if you
Yeah.
give until, it will automatically do -1. Correct? Length minus 1, it will automatically do. And we also saw this for loop with yield. So what is the for loop with yield? For every iteration, if you want a return value, you can use for loop with yield. For every iteration, yield will return you a value, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we can also use for loop with if conditions, that is pattern guards. Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, please. And match expressions.
Match expression.
And we also saw this match expressions. Now the second example, please look at this. This is something very important. The Scala's match expressions and Java switch case, there's a lot of difference. This is match expressions. That means in Java, no, the switch case can have only of a particular type. It can either have int, it can either be string or enum. You can't have combination of both. For example, look at this. In Scala, no, you have a variable type by name any. Just like int, just like string, just like float, we have another type by name any. If you look into the type hierarchy of Scala, there is another data type by name any. That means this can hold data of any type. Please understand this. If I've declared a variable of type any, this can store data of any type. It can store integer, it can store string, it can store anything. Please do remember. So the val x colon any is equal to, I can either store int or I can store anything. It can be string, it can be anything. So that is what is this any here. So do remember. So now let me execute this piece of code. So I've declared a variable any. Now please look at this. Let me declare switch that match expressions. This is match. So now inside this match expressions, I can either return, for example, please do remember, I can either return int, or I can either return string, anything. So I've told this result is of type any. Please make a note, result is of type any. Now what am I doing? X, if it match, look at this, X match, it's a match expressions. What is the case 1? Whether it matches case 1. Now, Naina, can you tell me whether the value of X is D, whether it matches case 1, whether it is 1?
Yes, sir.
Whether it is 1? No,
Sir.
the value of X is not 1, right? The value of X is D, right?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Please focus. So will it execute this case one?
No, sir.
Okay, whether it will execute, can you see this? I can also write string here. Whether it is string 2?
No.
No. So this also will not evaluate. Please look at this. Whether it is anything of type int, look at this. Look at the match expressions. I can do this also. Whether it is 1, whether it is string 2 or anything of type int, I can also do that. Look at this. I can also do that. Whether it is anything of type int, Nayana?
Yes, sir.
What is sir? D is int.
But-
Huh?
No, sir. It's not matched. It's not
Please say
available.
that. No. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you tell me what happened? Anything of type, for example, string? Is it anything of type string? Yes, it is of type string,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it
D
will
is a
evaluate
string,
this.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can go with the default one. Case underscore is equal to did not match. Now, please look at this. It returned me string.
String.
So the match expression is not like your, Java switch case. It is more powerful. It is match. It can match the value. It can match the type also. Something very important. See, X, whether X is 1, no. Whether X is string 2, no. Whether X is anything of type int, no. Whether X is anything of type string, yes. So it is returning me string. So that is very important. Okay. So the match expression is very important, that it matches not just the value, it also matches the type. Something very important that you have to note, right? Any questions here? Any questions here, Priya? Santosh, any questions here?
No, no.
Okay. Right, let me proceed now. So same thing as I explained, you can use pattern guards and you can also use OR expressions. Okay. Now let's look into this, the last topic, methods in Scala. So, and then, we will try to wind it up. So please look at this now. So how do you declare a methods in Scala? Very important. You can declare a method in Scala, something like this with def. Just like in Python, we declare a method with def, right? So you can declare a method with def. And please look at this def, and let's say method name is m1 and the variable name x, which is of type int. Please look at the syntax here. I'm declaring a method by name m1. So if you want to declare a method, it is def m1, which takes an argument of type int x colon int. Please look at this, very important. Colon, I want this method to return int and is equal to the function body. This is a syntax. So def, the method name m1 colon, the return type of this particular method is equal to greater than the method body. So slightly syntax you have to by heart. After colon, return type is equal to flower braces, the method body. So x into x and close control D. So now I have a method by name m1 which takes int as argument and it returns you int. So what I can simply do, I can simply call this m1 and I can pass 2 and which returns me 4. So this is the syntax of creating a method, right? Any questions here? Guys, any questions here? Any questions from anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Now look at this. This is another important thing. For example, the Scala also provides you the features like in Python that named method arguments. For example, look at this. Let's say that you have a method. Let's say you have a method by name m1. Let's say m1. Let's say add. I will declare 2 variable num1. For example, I'll just name it as print. Some simple method print. So here I will just give x, which is of type string, and y, which is of type string, colon unit. When I say colon unit, it is void. So in Java, we write public static void, right? Void main, or public void get data, something, public void set data, something. So void is represented as unit in Scala. So now please look at this. The concept I'm explaining you is your named method arguments. I'll tell you what do we mean by that. So now I will print those things, print ln, I'll just print x, and I will print y, and I will close it. Okay, so control D. Now, Naina, can you tell me, Naina, here, now when I call this print method, and if I pass ABC, and if I pass X, Y, Z, what would be the output, Naina?
String.
What would be the output? I'm calling this method. So the value of X would be ABC.
String.
The value of
Okay.
Y would be
XYZ.
XYZ. So what it will
Okay.
print ABC and it will print
ABC
XYZ.
and yes, sir.
Yes or no? Now,
Yes, sir.
so this first argument will go to this X. Second argument will go to Y. Yes or no, Naina?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
that is by default, definitely. So when I execute this piece of a code, so definitely it would be ABC and XYZ. Now think about a scenario here, Naina. I want this ABC to go to this variable Y and this XYZ to go to this variable X. So you will give an answer, simply interchange. But here,
Yeah.
please look at this. I can specify this. I want this to go to a parameter Y. I want this ABC to go to a parameter Y,
Y.
and I want this value to go to a parameter X.
X.
So I can specify like this. I can specify here like this. So this is what we call it as named method arguments, something very important. Okay, so you will send these values to a method parameter. The parameter name here is Y. So this value you will send it to the variable Y. This value you will send it to a variable by name X. Clear? Clear? Now think about a scenario.
Yes, sir.
The next example, parameter default values. So if you don't pass the value, it will take the default value. These features are available in Python also. For example, look at this. Let me write a print, some method, I'll just name it as print. The X, which is of type string, and let's assume the Y, which is of type int. If you do not pass Y value, if you do not pass the second argument, the default argument, let's say I'll take it as 100. This is what we call it as parameter default values. Very important topic. Print ln, I'm just printing the value of X. Print ln, I'm printing the value of Y. So now if I call this method, please look at this, control D, print. If I call this method, let's say ABC, and if I pass the value, let's say 10. So the output would be ABC and 10 because I'm passing 10. For example, if I don't pass 10, what would be the default value, Naina?
100, sir.
100. So this is a concept of parameter default values. So if you don't pass any value, it will take the default value, something very important, right?
Okay.
Any questions here? Guys, however, the session is getting recorded. I will share the recordings as well, so that just watch these recordings. Very important. Okay, right. So we have seen how to declare methods and different variants of methods. For example, what all things we have seen for the methods? Named method arguments, named method parameters we generally call, and on the next concept, what did we see? Parameter default values.
Parameter default.
Okay. Now the last topic what is left is procedures. Okay. The last topic what is left is procedures. I think before that one more concept is there in methods. For example, we call it as where are parameters. Okay. Now, what do we mean by this where are parameters is, for example, you can declare a method which takes one argument, which takes two argument, which takes n number of arguments. This is something very important. Look at this. This is a very important concept. Very important concept. Let me declare a method. For example, let me declare a method by name m1, which takes string, which takes of type string and star. This is a very important. When I say star, no, this m1 takes either one argument, two argument, three arguments. It can take n number of arguments. You can either pass one, you can either pass two strings, you can either pass three strings, n number of strings you can pass. So this is what we call it as where arg in Scala. Okay, now look at this. Let me execute this colon. Let's say I want the return type to be unit is equal to the function body. So this is of type array. When I say star, no, it is array. So I can simply iterate using for loop. For s1 in str, I can simply use a for loop to iterate. Print ln of s1. I can do this. I can do this. Control D. So I have declared a method which takes variable arguments. So that means I can call this m1 with only one string. You can call, look at this, you can call m1 with two strings also. You can call m1 with ABC, one string. I can call also with two strings. I can call with n number of string. This is something very important. So this is what we call it as methods with where args. Do you think this concept is there in Java, Vishnu? Can you do this in Java?
I think nope.
I think yes, Vishnu, you can do it. Okay, in Java, it is something done it like this. You can do it like this: public void m1, which takes string arguments, right? Dot 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 str. This is how you do it in Java. Okay, just make a note, Vishnu.
Yeah.
This is what we call it as variable arguments. However, right? Any questions here? Madhu, any questions here? Madhu, Priya, any questions?
No, clear.
Okay, right. Okay. So please understand, this is something very fundamental that you have to know. Okay, now let's get into the last topic called procedures. Now, what is procedures? Let me open the PPT. Let me open the slides for you. Yeah, procedures. Sorry, procedures. Now, Scala has a special notation for a method that returns no value. This is very, very important. That means a method which doesn't return any value is generally we call it as a procedures. So if a function body is enclosed in a braces without a preceding is equal to, please look at this. Now I've written a method by name decorate and whose return value is unit, and I'm simply decorating the given string. Okay, now if a method doesn't return any value, please understand this. That is what we call it as a procedures. For example, so now let me clear the screen, colon paste. Now please look at this. Let's write a method called decorate, and the given string I will try to decorate. So string whose return type, let's say I will write it as unit. That means this method doesn't return you anything. If a method doesn't return you anything, generally we can create a procedures. This is very important. So def decorate str string which doesn't return you anything, that is why it is unit, is equal to greater than. And then what I do now, so I will just write, I will just add some borders to it. For example, I'll just name it as a border is equal to, I'll just give hyphen. Please look at this, what happens here. Star till the str dot, look at this, what happens here, length. And I just give the new line here. I'll just give the new line, and then I'll just print if you want. Print the border. Look at this, what this does. It's a very simple one. Let me call this decorate method, and I will just type npm trailing. Please look at this. Can you see this? It automatically added dash dash dash. How it added? Dash multiplied by the length. The length of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So number of dashes, it automatically added like 12. So hyphen into the length. What it did, hyphen into length, what it did is it simply added multiplied this hyphen into the length. So a number of hyphens will be the size of the length. So this is a method which returns you, please look at this. This is a method which returns you unit. That means it doesn't return a value. If a method doesn't return any value, you can go with procedures. So how do we create procedures? Same syntax, slightly different. So look at this, def decorate. Look at this. This is a procedure. Whatever I'm doing is a procedure, is not a method. For a method, you will declare the return type. So the return type is unit. So if the method's return type is unit, I can simply go with procedures. So what I can simply do, def decorate the string str, which is of type string. Now please look at this. I can simply open brace and write the logic. So I need not type unit. So it will assume by default it is no, it will assume by default it is void. So what's what happened? Print border, print border. Guys, kindly go yourself on mute, guys, please. Print border. Kindly go yourself on mute, please. Print border and Control D. So I can call this decorate method, decorate of ABC. So now in this case, it would be 3. So if a method doesn't return any value, generally we go with procedures. So syntax is you did not write colon unit. You can simply open the braces and close the braces, right? Any questions here? So if a function body is enclosed in braces without a preceding is equal to, then the return type is unit. You have to just remember that. Okay, so such functions are actually called procedures. So procedures do not return any value. You can simply assume that procedures do not return any value, right? Any questions here, guys? Okay, I think if there's no questions, I think let's wind up the session. Thank you, guys.